In this video, I'll take you through the steps necessary to install a C++ compiler for the Windows operating system. We're going to install the compiler that's located at mingw-w64.org. I'll provide this URL in the resources section for this video. Open up your favorite browser and enter the URL mingw-w64.org, and you'll get a website that might look like this. Websites change over time, but this is what it looks like as of March 2020. And what we want to do here is we want to click on Downloads. So I'm going to click on Downloads, and we've got a whole bunch of options here. What we're going to pick is this one right in the middle called MingGW W64 Builds for Windows here. And this is a C, C++, and Fortran compiler all built into one. It's a GCC compiler, which is really a collection of compilers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click that link right there, and then I get sent to this page, and finally I'm going to go to SourceForge. And when I go there, we're going to get the download. So I'm going to click on that, and the download should happen automatically. You can see here your download will start shortly. Here's the download down here at the bottom of my Chrome browser, and it's done. So at this point, you can see that I've got my MingGW W64 installer ready to go. You can see my antivirus just popped up a little message here that says that it's safe. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double click on this to install it. So in this case, I can come over here and select Downloads and run it from here, or I could run it down from the bottom. I'll just double click here. I'm going to allow it to make changes to my system, and I'm going to minimize my browser just to get it out of the way. So this is the installation wizard right here. It says, welcome to the MingGW W64 installation. Now, the MingGW compiler will install a 32-bit compiler or a 64-bit compiler, depending on your operating system. So the first thing we need to do is you need to see what kind of operating system you've got. Is it a 32-bit Windows operating system or a 64-bit Windows operating system? There's a really easy way to tell is just to come over here, and right in here, we're going to type Control Panel, and we're going to go to our Control Panel, System and Security, and then right here where it says System, you can click on there, and you can see right in the center here where it says System, you can see that my system is a 64-bit operating system. So I'm going to install the 64-bit compiler. If yours says 32 bits, then you can install the 32-bit compiler. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. But this is important. Make sure you remember this, because when we install our CodeLight integrated development environment in the next video, we're going to use this information again. So write that down. So I know I've got a 64-bit operating system. So I'm going to close this down now, and I'm going to go through the installer. I'm going to select Next. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to install the latest version. You can click on here and get whatever version of the compiler you want. I'm just going to stick to the latest, which is 8.1.0 at the time of this video. It might be 8.2. It might be 9.0 by the time you download this. The architecture, this is where the 32-bit, 64-bit comes to play. So I'm going to click right there, and you can see i686 or x86_64. This guy right here, i686, that's the 32-bit version. That guy right there, x86-64, is the 64-bit version. That's what I'm going to choose. Now, if you're on a 64-bit machine, it will definitely run the 32-bit version, but you might as well use the 64 since that's what you've got. The rest of the stuff, you just leave it alone, and I'm going to select Next. Now it's going to ask me where I want to put it. I really don't like this huge long name that it's got here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to erase that and just take it all the way down to the Ming64, right? MingGW64, right about there. Okay, so that's where I wanted to install my files. It's very important when you name your directories to be sure that you don't use any special characters, no international characters, and no spaces. So make sure that whatever you decide to use for directory names, they're very, very simple, because compiler toolchains have real problems with cloud drives, spaces, international characters, and special characters. I'd like to create a shortcut in the Start menu, so I'm just going to select Next. And at this point, the installation is just going to go on its own. Just leave it alone. Take your time. It doesn't take that long, probably just a couple of minutes. And then once it's installed, what we'll do is we'll do one more thing we need to do. We need to change our path variable so that Windows can find this. Okay, so the installation is complete. I'm going to select Next and Finish, and we're done. Now, there's one more thing we want to do. We want to set the path to what we just installed in the Windows Path Environment variable. So how do you do that? Well, you go to Control Panel again, and right up here in the Search Control Panel, I'm going to type ENV for Environment and press Enter. And you'll see it says right here, Edit the System Environment Variables. That's what I'm going to choose. Now, this is what you see in Windows 10. If you're running Windows 7, please refer to the resources section for a PDF file that shows you how to do this there. So I'm going to select Edit the System Variables right here. And I get a systems property. Let me reduce this so it doesn't clutter up the screen. Now down here at the bottom, there's a button called Environment Variables. That's what I'm going to select. Now, here are my environment variables. We've got variables for the user and system variables. We could really do this in both places, but I'm going to do it in the system variables area down here. I'm going to select path, just like that. And then I'm going to select edit. Before you do anything here, be very, very careful not to delete anything. We're not deleting anything in our path. If we delete stuff in our path, we could really mess up our system. So be very, very careful here. I'm going to select edit, not delete, edit. So I'm going to select edit, and I get a little screen like this. Now, these are my current path variables right here. What I want to do is I want to add a new one that points to what I just installed, and I'll show you how to do that here. We're going to select new, and right here, we're going to browse. And I'm going to go to where this was installed. So it was installed in this PC. It was on the C drive, it was in Program Files, and it was in MinGW64. You see right there? And what we're going to do here is we're going to select the bin directory. That's the binaries. That's where all the executables are for the compiler. So make sure that that's selected. Click OK, and you can see that the path has been entered here. Now, what I like to do here is I like to move this up in the chain. So I'm just going to select it and then move up a few times, just till it's just below these System 32 ones right here. At that point, I'm done. I'll select OK. I'll select OK again. And finally, OK one more time. Now, let's do a quick test to make sure that we installed this correctly and everything is running. What I want to do is I just want to type CMD here so I can get a command prompt. That will open up a window. And this is your command prompt window. You can type commands in here. So what we want to type in here is we want to type G++, all lowercase, the lowercase g like that, G++, followed by a space, and then dash version. So again, G++ space dash version. And when I press enter, you should see something like this. It says G++, that's our C++ compiler, and 8.1, which is the version that we installed. Now, if you do G++ dash version and you get something that looks kind of like this, some gobbledygook that says it's not recognized as an internal or external command, then what probably happened is that the path variable is not set correctly. So back up, do that again, be real careful and make sure you selected that bin directory and that it's all good to go. So at this point, we're good to go. Our compiler is installed. The next step is to install our CodeLight integrated development environment. That's going to allow us to write C++ programs, build them, and execute them. So I'll see you in that video next.